I have discovered never-before-seen in-game images of the cancelled Paris DLC map that became Moon, the climax to Black Ops 1 Zombies. These images have been hidden in plain sight for years, and they reveal something huge, so stay tuned for all of the details. Yes, that is right, ZM_Paris has been found. I was recently researching for a short just talking about how Moon was supposed to be Paris that we all know, and as I was doing research for that video, I accidentally stumbled upon these never-before-seen images that the wider Zombies community has never had the chance to discuss or see before. For a recap, if you're unaware, during the development of Call of Duty Black Ops, the first one, Treyarch originally planned for the game's finale Zombies map to be set in Paris. This is supported by internal file names found in the game's code, such as zombie_Paris still being in the codename for Moon, which indicates that a Parisian setting was in development before ultimately being scrapped. However, this concept was later reworked into what players know now as Moon, which is crazy when their environments are so radically different despite their layouts ending up being similar. While Treyarch has never officially confirmed why the transition happened, bar saying that the Moon is a really fascinating setting, many fans speculate that the decision was influenced by Modern Warfare 3, which prominently featured Paris in its campaign and marketing. To avoid overlap between the two games, it's believed that Activision may have advised Treyarch to change the final Zombies map, leading to the Paris concept evolving into a lunar setting instead. Or perhaps they simply chose to do so on their own, fearing the potential backlash if the overlap caused harm to Modern Warfare 3. Personally, I feel they needed a more grandiose, climactic setting for the finale map, and so opted to end things on the Moon with obviously the major cliffhanger of blowing up the Earth, because what better way to end a Zombies game? I mean, the storyline could have literally ended there, with Ultimus being trapped on the Moon and dying, the Earth destroyed. They really wrote themselves into a corner, even though it made for an epic conclusion. Hints of this scrapped Paris map actually date back even further than Black Ops 1. In World at War, the chalkboards in Deriz contain images of a zombie beneath the Eiffel Tower. This early tease suggested that Treyarch had been considering a Paris setting as far back as 2008, though it ultimately never materialized. Or maybe they just took the fan speculation regarding this Paris image and decided to turn it into a map, as that's how a lot of the initial zombie storyline was formulated. Rumors circulated back in the day about a potential Map Pack 4 that was planned for World at War, with it later being confirmed by some interviews with Jason Blundell.
Little known fact, or a fact that's kind of discussed a little bit, is we were starting to write stuff for a DLC 4 at the time as well, so create stuff as well. And that's where you'll hear about like Paris and Coast and a cinema, and that got re-adopted into Kino, and then the Coast map got turned into Call of the Dead, and then the Paris map got turned into Moon.
I've heard about that. I guess the Moon in the early stages was Paris, and then it got reworked into being on the Moon.
Well,
how do you make that jump?
So they you know, and it was a fantastic team. You know, it was a different kind of group of guys, but a fantastic team took it, and then just certain of the little ideas got moved. And I don't want to say it was just Paris, because it wasn't. Paris is a very different map, but Paris had the idea of a no man's land, and it had the Eiffel Tower, and then underneath that was a teleporter, and then there was the catacombs of Paris underneath that, and the idea was that you went into the kind of teleporter, and the Eiffel Tower was essentially a conduit for the power for it, and then you got transported to this middle of nowhere where the Pack-a-Punch was, and it was just zombies all coming at you, and there was no cover, and it was brutal.
So would say the zombies all coming at you, would that maybe be reworked into like the no man's land we had in Moon?
Yeah. So that was that idea that kind of moved over.
Did
any
had
trenches and stuff?
This map pack would come with 3 zombie maps set in the coast, Paris, and a theatre in Germany, based on those chalkboard images from Der Riese. The theatre would go on to be reused as Kino de Toten, the launch map for Black Ops 1. The coast map would become Call of the Dead, and the Paris map never exactly materialized. But it shows that the idea of a Parisian zombies map had been on the table long before Moon was ever developed. Despite the shift in location, remnants of the original Paris design can still be found within Moon. The spawn area, known as No Man's Land, which features a recreation of the Der Riese teleportation pad, was originally intended to be set beneath the Eiffel Tower itself. The catacombs beneath Paris also served as inspiration for Moon's underground tunnels. Additionally, the layout of Moon's spawn area is a direct match to the riverside next to the Pont d'Iéna Bridge, which connects to the Eiffel Tower. When overlaid, the two locations are physically physically identical, confirming that Moon's opening area was originally designed to take place in that exact spot in Paris. This seems to suggest that most of the physical layout of Moon is actually simply a remnant of how Paris was already designed, with the riverside going into the catacombs and sewers and coming out under the Eiffel Tower being turned into the Rocket's Trench, Tunnel 6 and 11, and coming up into the Biodome area, which is what was where the Eiffel Tower once stood. And it would have been so interesting to explore the catacombs of Paris, and we ended up receiving references to them, or at least similar, with the Hotel Royale and Vanguard zombies, at least lore-wise, but we never got to play within the catacombs themselves. Over the years, the Lost Paris map has remained a popular topic among the zombies community, with many imagining what it might have looked like. The map would have featured combat around iconic locations such as the Seine River, the Pont d'Iéna Bridge, and the most famous, the Eiffel Tower itself. Some community members have even attempted to reconstruct the Lost map using modding tools and custom creations. Notably, a modder once rebuilt an Eiffel Tower model using Black Ops 1 assets, offering a potential glimpse into what the map's centerpiece could have looked like. However, the post has since been removed and I could not find any mirrors, so all that's left is the Reddit post without an image. This goes to show how long these Paris discussions have been around, long enough that the information is beginning to be lost purely due to time and decay. Additionally, custom zombies maps such as Perish have been developed by the community, aiming to bring the Paris concept to life in a playable form, even if not the exact way Treyarch wanted to do it. While the existence of official concept art for the Paris map was long debated, no such artwork had surfaced until now. For the very first time, previously unseen concept art has been revealed that I found on an ex-developer's portfolio website. For the sake of their privacy, I will not link the website or reveal the name, but I will show you any of the images of interest for today's discussion, don't worry. The developer filled a portfolio with tons of examples of his work on Black Ops 1. We see buildings like a mausoleum and a church, weapons like a minigun and Hellfire missiles, and even some of his work on normal maps and PBR setups for materials. However, as I was scrolling, when I saw his art on an ice chunk he made, I noticed something very interesting. Behind these few screenshots of an ice shard, he used a grayed out and slightly out of focus picture of a map for the background of the shot. And what is that in the background of this shot? Surely it cannot be, I thought. But upon closer look, it was. That is one of the legs of the Eiffel Tower, and seemingly in-game in Black Ops 1. It's difficult to tell exactly, but it looks like this image is taken from the riverside angle, looking up towards the stairs that lead up to the bridge and framing the Eiffel Tower in the background. But before I could freak out about this discovery too much, I noticed another and even more groundbreaking piece of art, actual concept art of Paris. This artwork is showcasing the Eiffel Tower with a teleporter mainframe attached to its base, hanging from its legs. This discovery provides a long-awaited glimpse into Treyarch's original vision for ZM_Paris, finally shedding light on what could have been one of Black Ops' most unique zombies maps, although definitely the Moon is a much more unique setting, and was probably the right choice, but I would love for them to do a Paris map again in the future. It also seemingly confirms some details that are circulated in rumours and leaks about Paris and its layout, because these classic rumours describe the teleporter under the tower in the exact same way the images now reveal it to have looked, giving credence that they were indeed legitimate. And it's very interesting that I just stumbled along this now when at the very same time there's been all of the hard drive leaks coming out, giving so much behind the scenes to cut Call of Duty Zombies content, and I'll be aiming to cover a lot of that in future videos as well. But once I found this image working on this recent short about the similarities of Moon and Paris, I knew I had to research these old plot rumours and make a video discussing them, as many people in the zombies community now were not around during the end of Black Ops 1 / the early Black Ops 2 era, and thus may have never even heard of these rumours. And likely some of those who did either wrote it off as untrue and never paid attention, or have long since forgotten about them. But now that we have some proof towards their legitimacy, I thought they deserved a bit of discussion. So I did my best to amalgamate all of the information I could find on these rumoured Paris details, and I will summarise it for you now. Paris began with players spawned underneath the Eiffel Tower in a field. Under them was a locked teleporter pad that was lowered into the ground, similar to how you drop down onto the pad in Moon. And hanging above that very pad, the rest of the giant mainframe dangled from wires, hung from the bottom of the Eiffel Tower. The gameplay would begin like Moon, with a no man's land-like spawning system. Without the rounds progressing, as the zombies overwhelmed players, they were forced to jump down onto the teleporter and be taken to the riverside. Here, we see the area that would become the Moon spawn, with the 2 doors to the tunnel and the staircase to the Moon base now becoming 2 destroyed chunks of wall that can be bought and stairs up to the bridge above. Players would spawn in the midst of debris on the bridge, unable to navigate any closer to the tower on foot. Going up, they then buy their way into the Paris catacombs. These catacombs would lead deep underground Paris, walls lined with skulls and bones. Eventually, players would break into the sewers from the catacombs and find an underground bunker of some kind, where Ludwig Maxis had been using his machinery to broadcast signals around the world. From here, some sort of confrontation between Richtofen, Maxis, and perhaps still Samantha would ensue. The map likely never went into full production enough to get past the initial story concepts and outlines, so rumours don't really go any further on what would have happened. While this used to be nothing more than interesting fan conjecture, we now have pretty strong implication that this actually is the cut layout and story of Paris. We can use this layout to get a good imagining of what Paris was like, especially because, if this is true, it seems the physical layout of Paris was almost perfectly preserved and just reskinned, retextured into the Moon. I wonder now that we know this if someone could even create a Paris map using the now confirmed leaks on how it would have been. Other than Area 51 becoming no man's land and the lowered teleporter simply being placed inside the map somewhere, we can almost trace a layout for where Paris had its catacombs with the tunnels, and where the Eiffel Tower would have been with where the biodome now stands. And the spawn still almost perfectly mirrors the playable section of the bridge we would have seen, with the river now the large trench that Group 935 built and launched their rockets in. With that, due to a small and accidental discovery in that short research, we now have more visual pieces of Paris than we've ever seen in nearly 15 years of discussing this cut map location. And not only do we now get to see actual Paris, but the small piece we managed to see turned out to have enough in it to seemingly confirm rumours on its story that are more than a decade old now. In a day, we've managed to uncover more information on Paris than anyone ever thought possible, including myself. But what are your thoughts? Is cut content from zombies that this old still interesting to you? And would you have preferred Paris to Moon? I personally can't imagine zombies now without the iconic climax of Samantha and Richtofen's MPD body swap, followed by the Earth being destroyed. However, I can't help but imagine a wildly different direction zombies may have taken if we'd instead gotten Paris back at the end of Black Ops 1, or potentially even in Map Pack 4 of World at War, which is ridiculous to think about. Could we have even blown up the Moon like we eventually did on Dies and Dragon instead? Or was the Earth still going to get destroyed with us on it? With all that being said, I'll be checking the comments regularly to see if you are interested in covering a lot of the other cut content in the future, since there has been so many leaks lately, like I said earlier, and so I'll decide if it's worth dedicating more time into uncovering cut content on the classic zombie stuff. I did recently post a video about all of the cut content for Origins and how that story would have originally featured the fathers of the Ultimus crew as opposed to new alternative versions of them being Primus. And if you want to check that, it will be on screen and in the description. But anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.